there is nothing in this folder. I just created a folder called Easy Booking, and we will start working in that. So I will start, it hasn't even been initialized for Git. So let's just initialize a Git repository, and then we will say npm init for initializing package.json in the root. It will ask us some questions, and we will change this to easy booking monorepo just to keep track of or make sure that we remember that this is the monorepo package.json. It's not really something that is a package in and of itself. The rest of these questions aren't really interesting. We can set the license to unlicensed just because this is not going to be something we will be publishing. And we now have a package.json here in our folder, which contains these things. I will add one thing to this, which is private. And the reason for that is that it's, at least it was in Yarn, I'm not sure if NPM requires it, but it used to be at least a requirement. And it is to make sure that you don't accidentally publish your monorepo to the NPM registry, which is certainly not something you want to do. Now, there's sort of a tradition of having a folder called packages in your monorepo where you will put all your packages in. I personally like to also have something called apps or services, which is where I put in the particular packages that will sort of spin up. So packages itself will just contain shared libraries, and then services will contain the things that I actually deploy somewhere. So let's create two folders out here in the root. Packages and services. Did I spell that right? I did. There we will put our stuff into those two folders. The architecture that we're creating here is really quite simple. We're going to have two services, a backend and a front end. And you can argue that the front end isn't really a service, it's a bundle. But for this course, we're going to talk about it as a service. And then we're going to have one shared package called schema. The schema will take care of database migrations, but it will also be where we supply our TypeScript types, both to the backend and to the front end. So that is where Kennel will be generating the types. Let's start by creating the schema package. So I go into the packages folder here, and I create a schema folder. And in that, I will run npm init again. And you can see that fish shell is squealing on me that I've done this before. But what we're doing here basically is we will be using the scope parameter to npm init. So basically, we're going to be creating this schema package in the easy booking scope. And all that really does is you can see it suggests this name, and that is what the scope means. So this is now schema in the easy booking scope. And we're going to accept all of these things that it suggests for us because we don't really care much about any of this. So now we have the schema package. Let's go and do the same thing for the backend package. So that is in services. We'll create a backend folder, and we will run npm init, and we will use the scope parameter again. So we do this, and we just accept everything it suggests for us. And we now have package.json file in schema, and we have an almost identical one in backend. Nice. So in order to use these in the workspace, we need to add them to our package.json out in the root. And the way we do that is by creating a Workspaces entry here. And that takes an array of things. And you can see that Copilot here is suggesting that I add packages/*, which is quite a common way of doing this when you create monorepos, but I don't particularly care for it. The reason is that when you do this, you don't specify the order of things. And since we're not using Learner or TurboRepo or anything that handles that sort of thing for us, we can do very, very basic dependency management by just specifying the order of packages out here. And we want to make sure that whenever we build our backend, the schema has been built first. So we're going to add packages/schema before services/backend. I don't think there's much of a hassle to have to add all the things that you want in your workspaces to package.json. That adds a little bit of plumbing, but it's definitely something you can live with. And this way it's explicit, which I just find is nice in every way. This way we will have the dependency specified.
If you want to keep learning about how to build real-world apps with the latest technologies and other career-related topics, then start right now by subscribing to our channel and liking this video.